Thanks, Courtney. I'm here in the studio with our special guest, UA Professor Mike Lipman from the Classics Department. Professor Lipman teaches 3 large lecture classes here, and as a teacher who handles teaching large amounts of students every day, he finds his own way to handle the crowd and maintain participation. But what does he think of the prevalent and growing website many students turn to called notehall.com? Well, I've got him here with us today to give us a little perspective from the teacher's side. So I know you've gotten familiar with the website notehall.com, and it was founded by a group of U of A students, so I'm sure you can imagine it's pretty popular here on campus. How prevalent do you think that it is within your own students?
As far as I can tell, not at all, but that's only as far as I can tell.
Have you been on the website yourself?
Yes, a few minutes ago, and I tried to go on it, but I didn't sign up officially a couple of days ago.
Okay. What do you think about this? Do you think this is good for students to do, or do you think this is harming them?
For the students that are buying or for the students that are selling?
Both. For the students that are selling, do you think this is, college kids trying to make some extra cash, or do you think this is hurting the kids that are buying them more?
I think it doesn't make any sense for the kids that are buying. I think for the students that are selling, if they can find suckers to buy it, I think that's their prerogative. The analogy I came up with is that if you go to a restaurant, order a nice dinner, and you pay for it, and you get it, and somebody else chews it up, spits it out on a plate, and then you pay them for the privilege of doing so you can eat it with a spoon, that's your prerogative. But it strikes me as very stupid.
So as far as buying, they've got lecture notes, they have study guides, they've got class notes, outlines. Is this something that you think violates your department's academic integrity code?
I don't know about my department's academic integrity code. I'm not too sure what it is. I think that it's not a good idea. It sets a bad precedent of possibly, I don't know if it's official copyright infringement. It's certainly an illegal gray area. But I think it's the job of the faculty to make sure that they're providing, students with what they need. In my class, it would just be stupid because I have 25 study guides for the last test. I'll have another 25 more for the next test, so if you want to pay someone else for a study guide, more the fool you. That's my opinion.
Okay. So I was looking at the website and I noticed that their mission statement says something about they are equalizing the playing field by allowing students to be able to pay for their own study guides. Do you think that it's equalizing the playing field to be able to pay for it?
No, obviously it's preferring people who have more money. And I would say, by the same token, I could equalize the playing field myself and say you could buy notes directly from me because I'll guarantee that they're good. Whereas if you're going to notehall.com, any moron could be posting notes. I assume the gentlemen who run notehall.com aren't reading my textbooks to know if the notes are good. How are they controlled? So you could have some worthless guy taking notes that you're buying. If I wanted to, I could sell my notes and say, guaranteed to be on the test, and I'll undercut the price for Note Hall, and I could make a killing. Is that unethical? Do you think? That's my question for them. Would that be unethical?
Yeah. So I was just thinking about it. So your ancient athletics class has what, like 500 people in it?
Something like that.
Okay, so let's say that out of those 500, 150 went on Note Hall, looked, found a study guide somebody put up, and they were using the study guide. And maybe let's say like 50 of those showed up to your class all the time, but they were disruptive, they weren't paying attention, they were distracting other students. And then they went to Note Hall and they were getting all those notes and actually doing well in your class. How would that make you feel if you found out about this?
If I found out about it and I thought Note Hall was actually working and I wanted to stop it, let's say I find Note Hall kind of silly, but let's say I decided I hate it, I want to shut it down. I would just announce at the beginning of class, or beginning of the semester, that right before a test I would download the notes from Note Hall and anything that was on it would not be on the test. And that would solve that problem immediately. And it doesn't even matter if I'd be telling the truth or not. I'd have no problems lying about it. So I can then write the test, and if more people put stuff on Note Hall, the test will get harder and harder.
So what do you think of, if you were to find out some of your students were using this, specific students, would that change your opinion of them personally?
Sure.
Would it change their
yes,
character?
I'd judge them completely.
Okay, and what would you think of them?
I think they were weak.
Okay.
I think they were the mental equivalent of like a 750-pound person who is too lazy to get out of bed. Mentally, that's what I think about them.
Okay.
But they're entitled to be that person. It's a free country. You can do whatever you like.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't have much respect for them.
Okay. So one of my last big questions for you is, I was wondering if you have students that all through their 4 years of college, 5 years maybe, they are
or 6.
They're getting used to kind of cutting corners, paying for notes. Maybe not even on note hall, paying kids for their own notes in class. If they're getting used to this kind of behavior, what do you think it's going to do to them when they leave college? What's their work ethic going to be when they're in a work environment, when they have families? Like, how do you think that's going to affect them?
Obviously, that's a loaded question, but I happen to agree with the loaded question you're asking. I think, you're not in college solely to learn about ancient athletics so you can apply it to, say, when you're, running a gas station. You're doing it so you can learn particular skills.
Okay.
And by, to go back to my analogy of ordering food in the restaurant, if that guy chews up the food for you, he's going to suck out the nutrients, and not only do you not get the excitement of eating a good, burger and fries, you don't even get the nutrition of it, you just get the mess that they put on the plate. So yeah, I think cutting corners is ultimately stupid. Or foolish, I shouldn't say stupid, that's pejorative. It's foolish. I would not do it, I wouldn't recommend anyone doing it. I just think it's, I don't think it's punishable. I think it's just, it defeats the purpose of taking the class. And it's sort of, you could say, oh, it's for your own good, that sort of old saying, but in this case, it's just, you're paying a lot of money to go to college. Now you're paying more money to have someone go for you. If you were a football player, it's like paying someone to go to practice for you. And then eventually you're going to go out on the field and someone's going to kick the crap out of you. So eventually you've got to play the real game. If you're not practicing, you will lose. And that's my general opinion.
So overall, opponent or supporter of notehall.com?
Bored. I think it's silly.
Okay.
I'm opponent insofar as if you're foolish enough to do it, knock yourself out. But I wouldn't.
All right.
I would advise students not to bother.
All right, Wildcats, you heard it. That was UA Professor Lipman giving us his notes on notehall.com. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.